Titans really need Derrick Henry to man the backfield in this game. Do you think he could do it against an Eagles run defense that has been their weak spot this entire season?
Yeah, teams have had some success against the Eagles, especially when you're talking about running. But I just want to kind of back up a little bit and talk about both of these teams and how they were constructed. Like we've seen this model for the Titans for a while now. But I believe when Nick Sirianni became the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, he came in with the mindset that he wanted to build this team in the likeness of the Tennessee Titans, in the likeness of the Baltimore Ravens, where you have this really strong run game that you can lean on. But then all of a sudden, like, they just got all jacked up on Mountain Dew now because you add A.J. Brown to the picture. You draft Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert when he's healthy at tight end. And now they have one of the more explosive, dynamic pass games in the league, along with having Jalen Hurts, who is one of the better rushing quarterbacks in the league. And then you have that disposal of running backs who you can just churn them in and out, and they just gobble up yards for you week in, week out. And so with that mindset, I feel that they're entering this Tennessee game feeling that they can do whatever they need to win this game. The Titans are really susceptible against the pass. And I have a feeling that unlike the Tennessee Titans, who don't really care for revenge games, what are you talking about through the media or between the white lines? Oh, trust me, Nick Sirianni does. Like, he was talking hot cash when he won that game against the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football because he has that special relationship with Frank Wright. And you better believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will want to show that they came out on the best end of that trade because, honestly, if you look at it, all the movement that we saw in the offseason, the A.J. Brown trade is probably the most impactful for a team that we've seen in the league because what it was able to do for that run game was able to do for Jalen Hurts' confidence and his productivity this year. Like, that's the most impactful trade to me that happened in the offseason. So when I look at it from that standpoint, I feel like the Eagles will come into this game motivated. They're going to try to continue to ride that wave, and the onus is going to be on the Titans to try to match that intensity.
And the Eagles offensively have been absolutely on fire. They're averaging 27.5 points per game. And like you said, they should be able to move the ball against a Titans team that's allowing 351.3 yards per game. Jared, who do you think comes out on top of this? Would you feel comfortable laying almost 5 with the Eagles at home? Or do you kind of feel like the Titans are going to be hungry after their narrow loss last week to the Bengals?
Yeah, I mean, the market's definitely telling you Tennessee right now is the steamier side. You know, this thing opened at 6.5, and now we're seeing it touch 4.5 at the Superbook as we're doing the show live on a Thursday, mid-morning, early afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. The Titans are an interesting team. So toughness-wise, and, you know, we were on them last week. A little unfortunate with the +3, losing by 4. But, you know, that line closed in the pick'em range. So I think for the most part, if you bet Cincinnati later in the week, you felt pretty good that they were the right side. If you bet Tennessee early in the week, you probably thought you deserved maybe a little better because, again, when you lose an NFL bet by a point, you're kind of kicking yourself. But the interesting thing about Tennessee this year, they're 1-4 against teams above 500. And I think that scares me a little bit because as a core value team, they're very tough and they do all the things the right way, right? Well, against Cincinnati last week, that really wasn't the case. You know, they turned it over a couple times and they had some Derrick Henry fumbling at the goal line. Very fortunate that his teammate recovered it for a touchdown. But if that ball bounces another way, Tennessee loses that game by 2 scores. And then the penalty on the final drive that allowed Cincinnati to kneel the clock out and not have to face one more drive from Tennessee. And then, oh, by the way, the field goal decision by Mike Vrabel, they were down 7 with like 5 minutes left. 4th, and I forget what the scenario was, but, you know, there was some debate there on whether or not they should have went for it. They kicked the field goal to go from 7 to 4. So he made a one-score game. So, you know, there's some of those little things throughout the course of that game last week against Cincinnati that a little un-Titan-like in terms of what we think of this team in terms of their, you know, overall makeup. So I'm a little concerned about Tennessee. And I think this Eagles offensive line, which has been fantastic this year, Lane Johnson, it's only allowed 7 pressures the whole season. There's guys in the league that allowed 7 pressures last week. So the Eagles offensive line against a Titans team that maybe isn't as buttoned up in some key areas as we think and that have struggled when they manage up in competition this year. I don't know if I'm running in the window to bet Tennessee this week. I agree that the line, you know, probably drifting back towards the Eagles is, you know, telling you that Tennessee might be a little bit undervalued, but I don't know if I feel strongly about betting Tennessee this week.